making about 40 to 50K per house net profit. Our investment company builds 50 to 150 houses a year.
You create your own buy box by being able to list it under 300, saying, hey, we're going to be here and list around this price range.
Systems and operations is definitely my number one thing. We centralize everything in a powerful CRM. Without a doubt, systems. It's scalable and predictable and flipping.
Hey, if somebody wants to get into their first build, what's a good first step? Hey, this is the Better Life Podcast with Brandon Turner and Cam Cathcart. This is a special Friday episode we call Cash Flow Fridays, where we interview people on one specific investment strategy that produces phenomenal cash flow in this market. This show is meant to be short, sweet, to the point, so you can implement it right away into your life. Without further ado, let's get to the episode. Learned in building my real estate business is this: I can't do everything on my own. And trust me, I have tried. I was that guy wearing all the hats: acquisition, property management, marketing. I even tried my hand at bookkeeping, which, by the way, is not a great idea. It was not until I embraced the art of delegation that things really started to take off for me. I actually remember hiring my very first virtual assistant. And then I realized right away, why did I wait so long to do this? And honestly, I was amazed at how great they were. They're better than me at most things they did. And in fact, that first VA is still with me today, 10 years later. Now, suddenly I had time to focus on bigger picture things, scaling the business, finding more deals, and honestly spending more time with the family. And that is why I'm excited to tell you about our sponsor today, HireTrainVA.com. So these guys have cracked the code on finding top tier virtual assistants for the real estate investing world. They go through a brutal selection process. Only 1% to 2% of applicants make it through, so you know you're getting the best of the best. And they've got this really cool draft board where you can actually handpick from the top talent that they've already sourced and vetted. It's like having your own personal dream team at your fingertips. And if you're unsure where to start or how to delegate right, they've got you covered with a free guide on 100+ tasks that you can start delegating today. Just head over to HireTrainVA.com. You know, I believe in them so much that their owner, Valentina Brega, is a friend of mine. I actually brought her on the podcast a while back. It's on episode 42, so if you want to check that out, go listen to a masterclass on how to hire and work with virtual assistants. So hey, if you want the fast track on hiring your first VA, but you don't know where to start, just shoot me a DM over on Instagram with the word delegate. Just delegate, and I'll hook you up with some of the same resources that transformed my business. Stop wearing all the hats and scale faster. Hire a VA, free up your time, and scale your business. Go to HireTrainVA.com or hit me up on Instagram with the word delegate. It's time to take that next step in your business. Now, back to the show. Steph Betters, welcome to the podcast. So good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we were hanging out back, a few months ago, and somebody introduced me to you, and they're like, you got to know Steph, she's amazing. And so we talked, and sure enough, you were amazing. They didn't lie to me. And I was like, you got to come on the show and tell about your story. So that's what I'm excited today about, digging into your story. So why don't we just start with the Fast Five. Number one, what is your niche, or do you say niche? First of all, let's start with that. Do you say niche or niche?
I guess I probably say both. Depends on
What do you say more often?
Niche.
We have a competition going here.
Niche.
No!
Yeah.
Cam finally got one. Oh, finally got one.
I think
you might be the first
that we've interviewed.
They all said niche.
And it's been niche for everybody. I say niche, so finally. I feel like we can stop asking that question now.
No, we're going to ask it forever. All right, Steph, what is your niche?
It is single family new builds.
Single family new builds. And you hold those to rent, right?
We build to sell.
Oh, you build to sell. That was exactly the opposite of what I just said.
Fascinated by this. So single family new, where do you primarily invest at?
Charlotte, North Carolina, and really anywhere within an hour and a half or so of Center City, Charlotte.
Okay. All right. Again, this is a deliberately broad question, but what kind of return can you see with build to sell, or, spec builds, however you want to call it? What kind of returns can you see? What kind of profits or cash on cash, whatever you can tell us?
Sure. It's about a 25%-ish cash on cash return. It depends a little bit on if we're splitting lots and doing multiple builds kind of on the same street. But in general, like a good broad numbers, we're making about 40 to 50K per house after all, net profit.
What are those selling for typically?
Less than 300,000. So we kind of specialize in that affordable / first time home buyer market. So average median price in Charlotte is about 360. We're in like the 280s ish range, 260s.
Yeah. And are you building neighborhoods? Are you building like just a house, like in what they call it, or in urban infill, whatever? Like, are you building houses on lots?
Yeah, mostly infill lots.
Okay.
So that could be a one-off lot, or we can take a lot and subdivide it, or if there's a house on it, we can demo that house or flip that house and then subdivide the other two lots and build there. So it's like 1 to 4 or 5 at a time on a street. But we actually just did our first development in Conover, North Carolina. That was 12 houses, and that was our first development. And so we're doing more and more of that now if we can.
What fascinates me about this is because I flip houses, and we like our buy box is the ARV has to be between $200,000 and $400,000. But because we have to find those off market, we go out of that all the time where it's like, okay, we don't have as many houses we want, so we're gonna do a 500, 600. We've got one right now that's sitting on the market at 650, and we have one that we're about to list probably in the 800s. What I love about this is you create your own buy box. By being able to list it under 300, saying, hey, we're going to be here and list around this price range. Yeah, so I love that.
Yeah.
Why is this niche better than others? Like, why'd you choose this?
So I love it because it's really scalable. When we first started a little over 10 years ago, we started with flipping and then wholesaling and then all of them. And then, kind of starting to specialize more and more in just doing new builds. And especially compared to flips, there's no real surprise. So we're able to build so many more at a time. Right now we have, I think, 46 or 47 active houses under construction. And, there's no surprise. If you pass due diligence, you perk the land. If it's required, you do a survey, soil samples, whatever. If it passes due diligence there, then we close on it. There's generally not much else that happens, knock on wood. We have had really weird things happen with, some city stuff with like sewer lines and stuff, but it's the exception. It's a brand new house. There's a warranty. There's no random, 10K, 100K inspection item that you find on when you finally get to the finish line with a flip. So it's super scalable. We're able to do it with only a handful of project managers. So we have 3 project managers that handle, 46 new builds or however many we have right now. And with flipping, we were lucky if we get a project manager to successfully get 4 or 5 across the finish line because it just required so much hand holding. So scalability.
Yeah, I love that.
That's fascinating. So tell us a little bit about your portfolio or what you guys are doing in this space.
Yeah, so we do still a little bit of everything. So my husband and I own a small single family rental portfolio here in Charlotte and the surrounding area. We also invest personally in multifamily. So we're in, I think, 7 deals as either a GP or LP all over the Southeast. And then Better Path Homes, our investment company, builds, 50 to 150 houses a year, depending on the market. We have had a little slowdown here this year. And we do some wholesaling as well.
Wow. So that's a huge amount of builds. Like, that's wild. I love that. You guys, we could probably spend an hour talking about how you scaled that up.
Yeah,
we'll have to do that. Yeah, we'll get you out here to Hawaii for a full, 2-hour episode to dig into that. But tell me a little bit. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about just this build to sell model. Like, how does it work? Walk through like in like a minute, beginning to end. How does a build work like that?
So we look for vacant land or houses that are on large subsets of land or, in and around the Charlotte area. So we market to homeowners just like you do for houses who owns vacant lots. We mail them, we cold call them, we do all the things that we can and essentially make them an offer for their land. We have a little calculator that we put them through just to see if this is a viable lot that we can build on. If it passes those numbers, then we go and do a survey and, a lot walk and make sure there's no flood zones or anything crazy about it. And we close on it. Quick math, just for those, who love calculators. In general, you can pay 10% of the sales price of the house for the lot. So it's really good, just quick napkin math. Like, could this possibly work? So you find the lot, you close on it. We don't build in-house. So we partner with GCs. By partner, I mean we pay them to do it. They don't have equity in the deal. And generally, you can find GCs who will give you their approximate price per square foot. So then you can really get detailed, cost for the vertical construction. We're in, the low 100 ish range. I think 112 to 115, depending on if we're building a garage and how big the house is and things like that. So that can kind of help you sharpen your pencil a little bit and make sure that your vertical construction makes sense.
Can you go into the next question was like finding deals? You mentioned some of the kind of the off market strategies. Are you also able to find properties on the MLS ever? Is that also a strategy?
So funny enough, we generally don't even look on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
We do almost all off market. Every once in a while, something will come through like that, like someone brings us a deal, or we buy from wholesalers too. But for the most part, we source all of our deals.
Awesome. And when you are finding deals, like what is the criteria that like how do you know that this is a good place to build a house at?
Yeah, so there's local activity there's
Mhm.
transactions happening in that area. Charlotte, that's not a problem. Pretty much
Yeah.
everywhere is transacting really well. I will say, peak of 21, 22, we pushed the boundaries a little bit there and kind of went further away from kind of center city Charlotte. And those took a little bit longer to sell, a little less transactions as you go a little further out, the metro area. But we're
Mhm.
looking at that. We're looking for areas that do not have a ton of box builders, like DR Horton, Ryan Homes. They build at such high quantities, and they have a competitive advantage for cost. So
Yeah.
they must be building for like 40 or $50 a square foot. The way they price their houses is wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they also overload the local market, so they'll just pop on 200 houses at a time, and then it gets a little bit wild in that neighborhood. So we specifically try to avoid big box builders in the area. But just like flipping, you want to see comps. Yeah, if there's good renovation comps nearby, that's usually a good sign. If there's new build comps nearby, that's even better.
Mhm.
And the good news is when we do this at volume, we can kind of set our own comps, especially if we have 5 houses on a street. We market one first. We'll list one on MLS, not all 5 at the same time. That way they all just don't accrue days on market. As soon as that puppy goes under contract, then we start listing the other ones, and we've generated
Clever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's clever. All right, how about funding? How are you getting the money for these deals?
private money and bank
Okay.
funding. Yep.
So you getting a construction loan then, I'm assuming. So private money for the down payment. Is that how it and then the rest for
Yeah,
construction loan or is it different?
for the most part, it's a little bit of a game of Tetris. I'm sure you're
Sure.
intimately
Yeah.
familiar with that. So it depends a little bit on what money's being freed up from the private money side. We try to invest private money as first, just because it's super easy. But
Yep.
then again, it depends on how much has come available with all the houses that are turning. So if a private money lender has enough for the entire thing, for the land and the vertical construction, we'll put them on that deal alone. If they don't, then we'll put them on the land, and then we'll put a first position bank loan in, and the private money will be in second. But it's
I
all
see.
kind of one to one like that. And then the construction loan, has draws and things like that too. So you don't
Yeah.
get the money all up front. You get it along the way.
Are you ever getting seller financing from the lot owners for this kind of thing, or kind of partnering with the landowners? Is that a strategy you use?
No, no. Generally,
Okay.
they want to cash out. That doesn't come up super often, and
Okay.
it's nice to keep it clean if we can. We have access to the capital, so there's no huge reason to do that.
Okay.
Do you guys do many teardowns?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do. Okay.
Yep.
Love it.
Especially with how hot the market is, there's a lot of older homes that if you get a house through your pipeline that's built in 1920, 1930, to renovate that thing is actually more expensive than to demo and rebuild.
When
So
you said 112 to 115 a square foot, that's what we rehab some
Yeah.
houses at. So
exactly. Yeah.
that's wild. Can you give me an example of a recent deal that you did?
I got them pulled up for you.
Love it.
Okay. All right. So this is one that recently sold. So I'll use this one. This is 101 East Louisiana Ave in Bessemer City. If anyone wants to fact check me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this one was kind of cool because this was an example of us buying a house, and it had 2 lots attached to it. So we went under contract on that house for like 100K or so, and then we subdivided everything, wholesaled that house, and built on the land. So vertical construction on this house, we built a 3-bedroom, two bath house, 1,275 square feet. Our build cost all in was $118 per square foot on this house. So that means that our total house cost for vertical was $130,400. We had about $1,000 in closing costs. we built in 6,500 in contingency, which essentially is we take the house costs and we just take 5%, put it
Okay.
away
Yep.
just in case something weird happens with, anything. The lender made a little over 15,000 on the deal. So our all-in cost for the house was 168 and change. And then we went under contract for 274.9. We had 7,500 bucks in concessions. We did this, to help people buy down their rate, which
Yep.
highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I want to talk about that after we finish with this, but go ahead. Keep
Yeah.
going with the numbers.
So paid a realtor commission. We have an in-house realtor that helps list. So we only paid 4% out in commission, and our net profit was 70,600 bucks. That was a quick example.
Was that on, because you said it was a house and 2 lots. Does that mean you built 2 houses or you built 1 house?
That was one
You
house
Okay.
of those deals.
Wow. That's legit.
That's incredible.
Whenever I hear stuff like this, I'm like, I'm in the wrong niche.
That's exactly what I'm thinking right now. She needs to come out for a 2-hour long podcast.
I know, we need to
I want to
dig into
dive into all this. It's such
Once you do it, it seems really intimidating to get into. So, there's a little bit of this obstacle to go overcome. It's all in your head. It's not that hard. Just like anything, you got to find a contractor, you got to find a GC. Once you do it, you're like, why am I flipping houses? What am I doing?
Yeah.
So you get addicted. I will warn all those of you who are looking at it. You get addicted because it's scalable and predictable, and flipping breaks your soul.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so much of what you're saying makes perfect sense, where it's predictable, where we buy houses that the sewer laterals collapse and we have to rip that up, and that adds $15,000 to a budget, or the foundation, we missed that and it costs an extra 10 grand, or the chimney. I mean, there's just always so many things that you don't think of when you're buying a house and to flip. And it's tough because you can't, and we still make decent margins on them, but to have the scalable, predictable model. Also what you said about project managers, where if you're doing the same thing over and over again versus every flip is completely different and it needs different things and different styles, it just makes so much sense. The one thing that I haven't wrapped my head around yet is like, how do you identify an area? Because in an area that I'm getting a lot, let's say for 30 grand, those houses in that area, most houses are selling for 160. So could I push the market to 260 on that? I don't know. That's the one thing that I want to think through, but it's so fascinating.
It depends a little bit on the velocity of transactions. The more that are happening, the more you're able to push the envelope a little bit, especially if there's not many new build comps. You know what I mean? Because then obviously those are more, when a homeowner is looking at 2 options, a house that's 20 years old or a house that's brand new, everyone's going to, hedge over to the new build house with the warranty, so just, it depends a little bit, but don't overthink it. It comps just like flipping. It's are things selling, and then you can find them. A really great way to start finding houses is just by, or lots, is just by looking at GIS. We have a whole
GIS. Explain.
GIS is that every county has a GIS where literally search your county name in GIS, and it'll come up essentially a map. That map is public information. You can access that no matter where you are. And you can literally, what we call fly for dollars. So you can kind of zoom over an area and kind of comb through, and you'll see lot lines with no house on it. You can see that if it has a house, there'll be a little rectangle with a house. So we have a whole team of people who just do that and drop markers on it. And then we trace who that owner is and their mailing address, and we go from there. And that's how we build our own lists. You can buy lists from providers and stuff too.
I bet you AI could do that at this point, right? Like could look at the entire area.
Probably.
There's got to be a way to do that. Somebody's probably figured that out. And just like you just get a list of every single solitary one in like 2 minutes from AI. I don't know. There's got to be a way to do that.
Geographic information systems.
Geographic.
Yeah.
Fancy.
And real quick, kind of going back to that example, like what is the average? You put a deal under contract. From the time it goes under contract to you actually selling that house, what does the time frame on that look like?
Longer, for sure. We're right at like 9 months.
9 months.
The more you're building together, sometimes the longer. Like that development we did took 2 years to start revenuing on it, just because there's so much to do for a curb and gutter and getting permitting and everything done with the city. bringing in sewer lines and water, etc. So longer for developments, but I would bank on 9 months, but before you revenue after you close on a lot.
Does that worry you? That is the one thing I like about flipping is we can be in and out in 4 months. Does 9 months to 2 years, does that worry you guys at all of like, hey, the market's here right now, but what's it going to be in 18 months from now?
So short answer is yes, if you are outside the areas that you know or
Mhm.
that you're confident about. So for example, in 21, 22, we got caught with some of the fringe houses that we thought would sell, but the market
Mm.
cooled down, the interest rates went up. Now people don't want to go, aren't desperate for a house right now. They're not going to go in the areas a little bit further from work,
Mm.
right? So we got stuck with a couple, but one of the things I like about this model and this price point specifically, you can refinance and they're great rentals. So our
Yeah, I
kind
love
of
it.
parachute, the numbers
That's a
still
great
work.
point.
Do I make all the money I wanted to? Do I make my 70K or whatever, my 50K? No. But I've certainly stabilized, got my my private money lenders and the bank their money back, and I've popped a tenant in there and I can wait it out. So that's why I like that price point too. It's not luxury. We're not going to have to
Mhm.
find a very specific person. They rent really nice.
So you got exit strategies. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, what are some, we got a few minutes left. What are some unique challenges with this niche?
Uh, there's less, so there's less vacant land in an area than there are houses. So it becomes challenging to find them. So once you start doing volume in an area, like now we've built a couple hundred, a few hundred, we've had to kind of pivot a little bit and find bigger lots and, compete a little bit differently now. So I would say that just overall market share is different. There's less available vacant land than there is houses. So that's probably the
Okay.
biggest thing.
Yeah. What is your guys' secret to success in this particular niche?
Systems for sure.
Systems.
I am very, very operations minded. The systems are the key to everything. It's not generating a ton of leads. It's generating the right leads and then nurturing them correctly and bringing them through the whole process and making it repeatable. So systems and operations is definitely my number one thing. We centralize everything in a powerful CRM, which I love to talk about with Left Main, but yeah, without a doubt, systems.
Did you build out? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to ask the same question.
Did you build out Left Main yourself, like through like Go High Level or some other? Is it basically a white labeled CRM? Or tell me a little bit about Left Main.
Okay, Left Main I built myself, yes, almost 5 years ago now. It's powered by Salesforce. Uh,
Mm.
we have essentially an app for Salesforce that you can get turnkey for real estate investors. Will help with off market acquisition, with wholesaling, with flipping, with new build construction, just like I use it for. But yeah, so it does everything kind of from start to finish, and it's powered by Salesforce. And now my team is way beyond my initial developer skills. But I was the first. I was the architect.
Love it. Is
That's
it
cool.
better than Podio?
Oh my gosh! Don't even say that word. Only about 1 billion times better.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
All
I
right.
have to
You have to
do
try it
some
out.
research on that.
All right. Hey, if somebody wants to get into their first build, what's a good first step?
Find land and start talking to homeowners. Go call some people who own land and see if they're interested in selling. Go on GIS, start flying for dollars, skip trace somebody, and call them.
Beautiful.
Perfect. And where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Steph Betters is my handle. You can find me at leftmainrei.com. I'm online.
Where does the name Left Main REI come from, or Left Main?
So Left Main is your CRM, right? So it's the
Yeah.
heart of your business, the center of your business. And my background prior to and during real estate, I was a cardiothoracic surgery nurse practitioner, so heart surgery. And if you need a bypass surgery, we bypass your left main. That's kind of your lifeline,
Oh, yeah.
your heart. So it's named after the lifeline of your heart, left main coronary artery.
Perfect.
Wow.
Kind of dorky, probably dorkier than you wished.
I like it.
No.
I like it. I'll take
I love
it.
there's a reason behind it.
I do too. Hey, Steph, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Super informational. And now I know who to call when I want to do my first build. So thank you.
And that, my people, is the show. Thank you for tuning in. And hey, before you go, if you enjoyed the episode or if you enjoy the show in general, please consider leaving us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. We really do value your feedback, and we read the comments. We make future decisions about topics and guests and everything else. Plus, it helps us reach more people the more reviews we get. And last but not least, please head over to social media. Consider friending and following and subscribing to all that stuff at Better Life and my personal page at Beardy Brandon, Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere else. Thank you again for listening. I'm honored that you would bring me along on your journey toward building wealth through real estate investing without losing your soul.